Are llamas back on the menu? Well, no, they're not. But let's talk about it. It's time for another Nazca Mummy News update. So get in here. This is Jack with the Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Okay, Professor Stephen Brown appeared on Matt Ford's The Good Trouble show recently, I think it was yesterday, and was talking about the Nazca mummies, and he had a lot of really good things to say. It was really interesting. I'm glad I watched it. I watched it live. For example, one of the good things that he said was that, debunking a debunk of the inverted bones, the scientists against myths version of the Nazca mummies where they're cobbled together, body parts, and you can see that the certain bones are reversed, showing that it's a sloppy job of cobbling together the body parts. Professor Brown says, not so fast. You can't really tell the truth from the x-rays. You have to look at the CT scans. And when you do that, you can clearly tell that they are not inverted bones or, they're put in the wrong way, that they are the bones that they should be. So he said some very good stuff on Matt Ford's show, but unfortunately, he may have done more harm than good because he has revived the llama skull hypothesis. He says he now believes the Nazca mummies, at least the little guys, what he calls the J-types, because one of them is Josephina, he believes the little guys, their heads may in fact be llama skulls that have been shaped to look like alien beings or non-human beings. Now, Professor Brown has not actually studied the mummies in person, and it should be noted. I mean, I love him. I'm glad that he's talking about the mummies. I mean, no disrespect to Professor Brown, but it should be noted that he is a PhD in philosophy. He's not an MD, and he hasn't studied the mummies in person. We've had over 50 scientists and doctors look at the mummies in person, and those who have studied Josephina and the other little guys specifically looked at signs of manipulation of the skull. Could it be a llama skull that had been carved to have an alien face on it, right? And they say that no, it has not. And by the way, of course, this is Josephina, who is, one of the mummies in question, the J-types, as Professor Brown calls them. And I love Josephina. It should be noted that Josephina is, or was, pregnant. I've seen scans of the eggs, and they don't appear to be chicken eggs or anything like that. So it does not appear to have been a fabrication in any way. Also, it should be noted that Josephina, she has nerve endings and connective tissue in her head and neck. So unlikely to be a llama skull stitched onto a body. Now on the Psychoactivo podcast, I'm probably saying that wrong, Pavel Ibarra and Gonzalo Chavez got two of the scientists that have studied the Nazca mummies in person to talk and open up and share some of their research. And one of those scientists was the individual that put out the llama skull hypothesis originally. Now that individual is Jose de la Rios Lopez, I hope I'm saying that right, who has responded to Professor Brown's comments. And Lopez says, anyone who does not go to Peru to personally study those bodies will continue to think that this is all false. And why does Lopez say this? Well, because Lopez is actually an advocate for the authenticity of the mummies. So why did he write the paper proposing that the bodies were manipulated and that there was a llama skull instead of a genuine head? Well, he answers that question in this interview. And he says, well, the question is, you wrote the article about the llama skull, and now you claim the bodies are real. What was the purpose of the article, and has it been misinterpreted? The answer: we could not present an article describing those bodies as real because the various journals we sent it to previously rejected it. They couldn't publish a pro-mummy paper. That's insane. That's ridiculous. That shows, how backwards and messed up the scientific industry is. So frustrating. Therefore, he says, it was done under a skeptical criterion so that this discovery could be known within the scientific community. It is only a working hypothesis mentioned as inconclusive in the summary, stating that DNA tests are necessary to verify the findings. Otherwise, it remains speculative. He also has some other great things to say in the interview, and I highly recommend watching the full thing or listening to the full thing. Like, here's another great answer in response to the chain of custody situation. He says, or the question is rather, can the provenance and chain of custody of each body be documented and presented to the public? Answer, the times when Mario has delivered the bodies have been documented. He is the only one who has made them available to academics and specialists for study. And again, could they be manipulated in any way? He says they are 100% biological with no external alterations indicating falseness. Could they be cobbled together body parts? He says they claim the bones are from various animals made of paper and glue. Specific studies have shown these claims to be false. So yeah, a great interview. I highly recommend you checking out the full thing, and I'll link to it below. Okay, getting back to Josephina's eggs. As I have shown in the past, ancient textiles from the Nazca region actually depict the Nazca beings repeatedly. And in one striking example of this, there is a Nazca being with an egg inside of it hatching another egg. That is crazy, guys. That is crazy. This is from Roger Zuniga Aviles. Dr. Roger Zuniga Aviles, by the way, was the leader of the investigation into the mummies. If this is from his personal collection or evidence room, then that's pretty good. I want clarification about where this artifact is coming from, if it's authentic, and, everything associated with it. Obviously, we need more details, but if this is a genuine textile showing a Nazca being giving birth to an egg, then clearly there were beings like that at the time. Now, to his credit, Professor Brown does say he believes there were beings, there were non-humans, and the humans of the time knew about them, and that's why they created these constructs. They created these constructs because they knew about the beings. Maybe it was religious, maybe it was something else, but either way, that's what he believes, is that there were non-humans, but the bodies that we are studying currently are constructs, or at least the J-types, the ones like Josephina. Now, do Professor Brown's comments contradict what he told Pavel Ibarra just the other day?
I think what I'm comfortable saying is this case is very strange. It's always been very strange. It will continue to be strange. But in my view, I am every bit as convinced as ever that these bodies are real evidence of a non-human intelligent presence on this planet, that there is a degree of biological integration to, for me, the internal structure of the torsos of these ones, the ones that look like Josefina. I call them J types because they look like
those are the ones that are reptilians, supposedly, right? That's how they're present.
Anyway, he goes on, but there you go. He does believe they, or at least he's saying in this interview, that he believes they are evidence of genuine non-humans. Now, he could, of course, mean that he's simply talking about how the constructs were created. That's his word, constructs. That the constructs were created referencing the genuine beings. But if they were creating constructs, would they put eggs in them? Also, of course, Josephina is the one with the clavicle implant. The implant is made of 85% copper. None of the implants seem to have osmium, or at least none of them report osmium in their findings. I don't know where the osmium story comes from. I don't know where that data is, but if you do, please let me know in the comments below. Obviously, that would be very significant if, in fact, there was osmium in the implant, since we didn't discover osmium until about 200 years ago. And osmium is extremely precious, very rare, very expensive. unlikely to be involved in a hoax and unlikely to have been part of some cobbled together construct of peoples hundreds or thousands of years ago. By the way, on the Alien Project is a discussion of the differences between the skulls like Josephina's and the llama skulls. Here we go. What you did not know about the differences between the skull of the llama and the humanoid reptile. The humanoid reptile is what they're calling the J-types, the types like Josephina. Differences. Spongy bone, synonymous with trabecular bone. I said that right. Is one of two types of bone tissues that make up bones. Compared to compact bone, it has a larger surface, but it is less dense, softer, weaker, and less rigid. Pneumatic bones are those that have cavities filled with air, which makes them lighter than bones that are completely solid. Conclusion, the skull of the humanoid reptile, the J-types, is light but resistant, and this is because inside it houses a large macrocephalic brain. Okay, so not the same as a llama. Very, very interesting. Also, as I understand it, there are intact nerves and connective tissue between the head and the body. So it's all of one piece. In conclusion, I'm really glad Professor Brown is talking about this. I hope that he does get connected with the researchers that are actively, personally studying the mummies. And if there is anything that needs to be corrected in his thinking, that can only be corrected by somebody that has physically studied the mummies, I hope that gets corrected and that he comes out again, either on my show or on Matt Ford's show or some other show, talking again about the mummies. Either way, he's very intelligent. He's a nice guy. He's clearly fascinated by the mummies, and he's willing to talk about them publicly. Before this whole llama skull thing, he was really doing the conversation a lot of good. So hopefully, if there is something incorrect there, hopefully that can be corrected and correct information can go out to the public, because that's what we need, guys. We don't need the public to waste their time spinning their wheels talking about llama skulls in fake bodies. That's not helping the conversation. It's not helping the cause. It's not helping disclosure. But you know what is helping disclosure? Bodies! We've got bodies, y'all! Woohoo! All right, putting the Professor Brown llama skull thing to the side, we've got two new images of skulls. One is an image that I have shown you before, but we have new information about it. Okay, so look at this bad boy right here. That is a beautiful skull. I love it. And this was posted by Jose de la Rios Lopez. Again, I hope I'm saying that right. As I said at the time, love it. We also have new information on this bad boy right here. I love it. First of all, this is an authentic image. I have shared this image with you before, but we didn't have any information to go on. I was wondering if this was one of the heads of the giants, since they've been so cagey with the giant stuff. We have the three hands, but that's about all we have. And I've been desperate to get some giant action going on, but no dice. But what we do know is this specimen right here is 30 centimeters tall, which is a little taller than your average human skull. So in other words, this is another humanoid type being, but it looks very different from either Montserrat or Maria. So we have three completely different types of human-sized beings, and likely others like the one I just showed you. Very possibly multiple different types of human-type beings. Now that's really, really interesting, because with the little guys, we have multiples of the same types, right? The J-types, as Professor Brown calls them. We've got a bunch of those. Professor Brown says there's maybe 20 of those intact and a bunch of loose heads and stuff. So, we got a lot of those. But so far, I haven't seen any two of the same type of human-size Nazca being. So what is your explanation for that? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, it makes me wonder if more information comes out about the fetus inside Montserrat, would it be tridactyl? I think it probably would. The evidence so far is pretty good that Raphael was likely tridactyl. That's the fetus inside Montserrat. But, we don't know. It's not definitive yet. But if Raphael could be proven to be a tridactyl fetus inside a tridactyl being, clearly that would be impossible to fake. However, since there are no two types, no two of the same types of the human-sized beings, it makes me wonder what was going on there. What sort of hybridization experiments and genetic experiments was underway? And would Montserrat indeed have given birth to a being that looked like her? Or would they take that opportunity to create something new? Of course, even then, it would probably be tridactyl, like all of the others, pretty much. Also, more and more people have been trying to identify the interesting writing on the implant of Sebastian. Check this out. There's clearly some sort of writing or marks on there on Sebastian's implant on the back of his neck. But what in the world is it? Let me know if you're able to decipher this alien message. And here's Dr. Roger Zuniga himself talking about the giants. He's talking about the giant hands, these guys right here, and the beings that would correspond to them. He says, it's not in English, so I won't play the clip, but he says that there is a large skull or head that has been found that looks like an upside-down pear. That's how he describes it. And he believes that corresponds to these giant hands. So, are they ever going to release a picture of this upside-down pear giant head? I want to see this thing, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see the picture of the giant head. Let me know what you think about it all in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the like button and the subscribe button to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in a bigger way, grab a t-shirt or a coffee mug in the merch store below. Or become a channel member, because channel members are rock stars. And I really appreciate your support. Thank you. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.